Pearson Modern Foreign Languages Introduction to Phonics. During this presentation, we shall consider why more focus is being placed on phonics, what we mean by phonics in the context of foreign language teaching, and what teachers can usefully do to begin work on phonics in their everyday practice. So first of all, a bit of background. The 2016 Modern Foreign Languages Pedagogy Review states that pupils need to gain systematic knowledge of the vocabulary, grammar and sound and spelling systems, phonics, of their new language and how these are used by speakers of the language. They need to reinforce this knowledge with extensive planned practice and use in order to build skills that they need for communication. It also says that spoken and written language are closely connected and overlap. Therefore, speaking, writing, listening and reading should be taught together rather than as separate skills. The full review document can be accessed using this link. So, the impact of the review. The review focuses on the teaching of languages more holistically and without the traditional 4 skills base that's underpinned methodology and GCSE assessment for many years in the UK. The element of phonics is highlighted in the review and teachers are guided to plan their approach in a systematic way with regular practice. Ofsted has said that high-quality languages education may have the following features. Curriculum plans show clear logic behind progression in phonics, including around when to teach differences between English sound spelling correspondences and those of the target language. Planned practice and review of phonemes and how these link to graphemes is in place. And curriculum plans show how small differences in sound can unlock meaning for pupils. Again, further information is available via this link. So, what this means for MFL teachers. Teachers of languages need to plan a systematic approach to teaching phonics. They need to document this approach in their schemes of work. They need to teach the connections between the written language, graphemes, and the spoken language, phonemes. And they need to work on key areas of difficulty. And this will vary according to the language of study. Now, in practical terms, we recognise that curriculum time is limited. And so learners don't have the chance to speak one-to-one with native speakers or their teachers in the language of study on any regular basis. So in the real-world classroom, target language use in class gives only limited exposure to the language for learners, and learners learn to speak from written language rather than by copying and adapting what they've heard. And so learners need to be taught in a systematic way how to connect the written language with the spoken language. Now, most teachers will know that learners often mispronounce words that they've acquired from written sources. We hear it, for example, in oral exams where they've memorized language from their notes. Most teachers will also know that almost no learner of French ever mispronounces je m'appelle, because they learn it in their first lesson and they learn it from a spoken source, usually without even seeing it written down. But il s'appelle would often cause problems because it's more likely to have come from a written source, and an inability to move from the written to the spoken language leads to mispronunciation. And so this is where a systematic approach to phonics could help. So why do phonics matter then? Well, correct pronunciation and intonation is needed for effective spoken communication with native speakers without knowledge of English. In listening, learners need to be able to connect what they hear with the written words that they've learnt in order to understand. In writing, learners need to be able to reuse language chunks that they've used in speaking using correct spelling. And in reading, without a good knowledge of phonics, learners don't develop the inner voice that makes their reading fluent, and they may also compound pronunciation errors that they already make. So, is this like primary school phonics? Well, most learners of foreign languages will have experienced an element of phonics as they learned to read and write in primary school, so they will have some residual knowledge. But in primary school, phonics are key to developing literacy. But most learners of foreign languages are already literate. So for foreign language teachers, the key areas of focus need to be the areas of phonic mismatch between English and the language of study. So what do we mean by phonic mismatch? Well, some examples. In French, in the word oiseau, the OI sound doesn't match with the same letter combination in English words like join. An example in German, the letter W doesn't match with the English letter. The sound needed in English is a V. And in Spanish, the double L of paella makes a particular sound that's different from the double L in English. So when does it matter? Well, remember that Ofsted talks about small differences, and here they mean those that make a significant difference in terms of pronunciation and comprehensibility. Because not all errors in pronunciation are comprehension critical. We accept that accent is different from pronunciation. We accept that some sounds from the language we use in the home will transfer into the foreign language. So the focus of phonics for languages teachers is the connection of the written and spoken languages. Okay, so looking ahead now to GCSE. GCSEs in French, German and Spanish are being redeveloped, and there are new specifications on the way. And these specifications will include elements of the testing of phonics skills via, firstly, a requirement to read aloud from a short written source and show understanding, and secondly, a requirement to write down correctly what's been heard, a dictation activity. Of course, full details of these tasks will be available in the new specifications once they're accredited by Ofqual. So where can you start? Well, your department might want to look at your current phonics provision and approach. You might want to also develop your own phonics understanding. You might want to think logically about how to integrate phonics teaching with the topic content of lessons. You know, for example, in a French class with lots of questions, the k sound could be targeted, or the R sound when you're covering the future tense. And you might also want to agree a school-wide approach so that as learners move up a year or where classes are shared, the messages are consistent. And finally, you might want to pay attention to phonics issues as they occur in lessons. Why do your learners mispronounce certain words? Now, in terms of Pearson Phonics support, we've published some support resources just to help you get started. We've made the key sounds videos and posters from our Key Stage 3 French, German and Spanish courses freely available on our qualification pages. The key sounds videos show native speakers pronouncing the words on the posters with associated actions to help introduce the sounds to your students. We've also updated our Dynamo Studio Stimmt and Viva 5-year schemes of work with a new phonics section linking sounds to the key language or phonics content in our course books. And all these resources can be accessed from our new phonics teacher support pages in French, Spanish or German with the links there. And we've developed a training session entitled Effective Strategies for Integrating Teaching and Learning of Phonics in the Modern Foreign Language Classroom. and you can book your place on an upcoming session via the Pearson Professional Development Academy using the link that you see on this slide. So a little food for thought. These are some questions just to get you thinking about phonics. How do the languages in my school differ in terms of what learners need to know to connect the written and spoken languages? How can we develop this ability in learners? For example, do we want to use some actions or symbols to help? And how can we develop the ability to read aloud and deal with dictation in the language of study? As ever, of course, our subject advisor, Sheena Newland, is there to help you, and she can be contacted through any of the means that you see on this slide. You might also want to follow our Facebook page for regular updates. And so now a word about the Professional Development Academy from Pearson. As part of the Professional Development Academy, you'll find easy and flexible access to a wide variety of courses designed to meet every teacher's individual career aspirations. There are high quality courses developed by educational experts and trusted partners. You'll find courses to support teachers develop the knowledge and skills needed to ensure students of all abilities and backgrounds thrive. There are courses to help teachers and non-subject specialists develop their subject knowledge and skills across primary and secondary. And there's a range of on-demand, live and self-guided training courses, creating flexible options for learning. To find out a bit more, please just click this link. Well, thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to supporting you further in the future.